You guys so incredibly much for joining me on another episode of Starseed Activations. So thank you so much. Today, while we're waiting for everyone to come in, because this is live, we're just going to pull an affirmation card. And so the affirmation card for today is: today I am healthy. Today my mind, my heart, and my soul are one healthy being. And so that's what it looks like. It's a very orange card. It's beautiful. Perfect. Excellent. So let's just give it a second. Everyone will come in. Okay. So today we do have a couple questions that people have sent in. So we're just going to go over some of these questions. Everyone wants to know what access codes are. How can we use them? How do we deny access into the dark coding? And so we're going to start with that. Now, access codes, there's many different types of access codes. We can have experiential access codes, which basically means that you have walked through a particular experience. That experience provided access into that particular frequency range. So, for an example, the star people are stepping forward and they are saying, when you go to school, education, take a doctor's degree. That's an experiential, because it's an experience that grants you access into living that lifestyle after the schooling is done. So it's an access code of experiential nature. Now, experientials can be anything. You can have a dark experience happen to you, so maybe a trauma, and that trauma caused a coding or an emotional frequency to be stored inside the physical body. That's another type of access coding. Now, however, because we are divine beings of love and light, they are saying, we are able to start to program our own access coding. So this is very important, because if anyone's ever gotten stressed, let's say your fight or flight system is constantly on and you always feel nervous inside the upper chest. That's happened to most of us. It's actually very common to have on this planet. It's kind of normal to a degree. Now, when we start to know, okay, we can program an access code, then all of a sudden we could take something so simple as if taking the tip of your thumb and just giving it a gentle little squeeze and speaking to it. Speak to it like it's an access code. And so, thank you, thumb. Anytime I squeeze the tip of my thumb, I will be less anxious. I will release happiness endorphins into my biological system. And so, the more you start to do this, now, a lot of people, we do this naturally. We squeeze the tips of the thumbs in between the fingers when we get nervous. So, this is already happening, because that's already an access code, but it's a collective consciousness active access code. So when we know this, then all of a sudden we want to have a look at the micro expressions, as well as the way your energetics flow through the physical body. So if your energetics are flowing through the physical form and there's some type of micro expression that we know to be connected into an emotional frequency, then we want to start to look for what pressure points or acupuncture points. We might as well use the systems that are already here. What pressure points are going to cause me relief? So a lot of times we can squeeze the ear, and the ear may stop a headache. Right? There's different types of sinuses we can touch, and it does different things for our body. So we check out that list. We might as well use what we have. These are our toolbox. So we check out that list. What's going on in your guys' life? One, identify it. Then two, figure out what pressure points you can use. If there is not a pressure point, that's okay too. And so what you do is you can generate your own. Now, me personally, the one that I've done when I was going through my dark night of the soul moment is I actually have a pyramid shape on my arm. It's in 3 freckles, so it looks like a triangle. Right. And then there's also a freckle that just magically showed up directly in the middle of it. So when I started placing my thumb on it, and I started speaking to that area, because I knew I wouldn't forget it, because it's you're not going to forget that if you have it on your body. And so what I would do is I would cause a calm down button, so that anytime I felt stress, I touched that button with my thumb, and then all of a sudden, whoosh, I felt calm. Now, of course, it's not going to happen the first time you do it. It may, for some of you guys, if you're very in tune with the subconscious mind, yes, you do have a potential to access this type of coding immediately, is what the star people are saying. For most of us, it takes a couple times of keep doing it, but you have to believe it. So you have to go in and you have to feel the emotions when you're going in to reprogram your biological systems. So the way that this looks, I would put my thumb on that spot, and then I would say, thank you, I am calm. And then I would sit there, I would close my eyes, and I would try and feel the emotion of being calm. And so the more calm I could get myself to be, I knew my body would eventually train itself. This happens through muscle memory. Muscle memory works the same exact way. You're training your body to move a certain way. I took martial arts as a kid. So when you are doing 100, slap chomps, your body automatically does it when you're out in the street if someone comes to throw something at you. It happens automatically. Now, when we know this, so we want to keep programming the body ourselves. And so, but you don't only have to program it to be calm. You can program it for anything. Okay, there's a full range of hormones inside the body that controls all of our biological functions. So whether you feel happy, whether you feel sad, whatever emotion code that you guys are running, it's all tied to the hormones in the body, and it all gets discharged at different emotional frequencies. When we're very embarrassed, my face turns bright red. Everyone could tell right away. You could see it. So, but this happens. So when you're playing with the internal thermostat, that thermostat is actually located in the upper heart chakra. And so what we want to do is you go into the upper heart chakra and you start to play with the emotion of embarrassment. How does it make you feel? We only do this to see the body raise in temperature to produce heat. So when we start to do that, embarrassment, of course, is on the lower frequency scale. So, but when we go in and we figure out how to activate that biological system, we don't need to use the emotion code anymore. We'll just know the feeling. When you know how the body feels, you can start activating just that feeling. That's the access code. And so a lot of times when we speak on different manifestations, so your manifestations, we teach you guys to hold the emotion of it already happened. Because what is the emotion? The emotion is generating a biological response. It's changing your magnetism inside your hair. And then all of a sudden, that magnetism is key. The magnetism is exactly where your power lies. Because the second you understand how magnetism works, it puts you magnetically so that you can attract the things that you need. And so when we start doing things like cutting the hair really short, it messes with their magnetism. And then it confuses other people around us too when the magnetism is off. So think about, we are living in a world in which 90% of the men have short hair. Their magnetism is completely off. So we want to start to get that to come back. The men need to grow their hair longer. They do not have to. Of course, it's an option. It's only an experience. But just take a look at the men who have long hair. How are they different? Start to notice the signs and synchronicities that go about playing in the personality grids. Because when your magnetism changes, it changes everything. When you are more magnetic, your emotions are more balanced and in alignment with the higher self. That's what the star people are saying. So when you have this type of hair and you are taking care of it, even if you're braiding it up so it's out of your way, that's fine too. Your magnetic grid is going to be stronger because of it. This is another reason when I do attachment sessions, we have to automatically, there has to be an agreement that you have to take a saltwater bath afterwards, because we have to cleanse and purify the actual hair as well as the eyebrows and like the little baby hairs that we have. Even if you're a man, you have baby hairs all over the place. It all has to be saltwater washed because your hair holds emotions. Now, if you've ever had a look at someone who has walked through trauma, let's say a lady goes out, she has a really bad night, yada, 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 and then all of a sudden she cuts her hair short. And that's because she's removing the magnetism in the hair. Now, this goes hand in hand with the access codes, because when we have an understanding of the way the physical body works, it allows us to start programming things that we wish to experience. So let's say, for an example, we took a finger. Anytime I place this finger on something orange, and your body, your subconscious mind knows what it is. So this is an orange card. Anytime I touch something orange, I will feel energized to do something I'm passionate about, is what the star people are saying. And so you can program different colors. Your eyes do not have to see the colors. We could see through time and space. Now, let me tell you something. I taught my kids how to do this. And the one time we were playing Uno, and my son was like, and we play Uno flip. So there's pick up 5 cards. It's the most amazing game ever. And so my son picked up a card, and I was like, what do you think the next card's going to be? And he goes, an orange, pick up 5. And he got it correct. Out of all the cards in the deck, he got it correct. So human beings, we are able to naturally do this. We are able to see through time and space. Now, if they hooked our brainwaves up and showed us images, our brainwaves are going to recognize the images before our conscious mind has time to observe them. So our brain sees the image before the TV screen, which tells us the source frequency from we have the oversoul, and then you have your higher self, which is it's way up there, but we're just, you guys can't see on the camera on Facebook. And so, but then that gets pulled into the physical body. It radiates out, and this all happens faster than the speed of light. It's faster than time and space. So it pulls down the body, it radiates out, and then when it comes in, it makes a sacred geometric snowflake. When it radiates out, it goes like a circle. So it's like a ripple, a drop in a bucket, and then when it comes in, it's shows the physical form for what it is manifest to be according to the energetic frequencies, is what the star people are saying. So it comes in circular and it radiates back in the physical form, whatever shape it's meant to be. So when we are saying to you is that your mind is recognizing something before the physical reality displays it, that's telling you, that's solid scientific proof that your frequency inside your body is radiating out and it is displaying the picture because it's coming from inside of you. Now, what if, for one moment, that we put a very, very advanced spiritual meditator in that chair and hooked him up, and we had him start to generate only positive photos? That is truly possible. So we do that by shifting potentials and shifting through timelines. Now, that it sounds very confusing, but we're actually shifting billions and billions of times with every single heartbeat. It goes above time and space. And so, you know, it normally we would say billions of times per second, but it's actually per heart rate. And so the more and more you start to slow your heart rate down, is the more you start to connect in above time and space. This is what 5D is. This is what it is. It's when we access so much love or joy and excitement, because those are all really high frequencies. Bliss is love, joy, and excitement, right? So it's all of them put together in one. It's when you wake up in the morning and you can't wait to jump out of bed because you know you're going to have a super fun and exciting day. So when we start to hold those type of frequencies, then all of a sudden it allows us to raise into 5D very, very rapidly. When we start holding 5D frequencies, it actually starts a process of grounding it into the physical world so that everybody can tune into that range. Now, all the star seeds we were sent here particularly to hold the high 5D frequencies. We came here to do this job because we knew we could do it, because we knew we can go through all that trauma and we could start to heal it. So we've all heard life only gives you what you can handle. That's the truth, because whatever's in alignment for you, whatever experiences that your soul wanted or needed to have when you came here, that's what you got. This way, you knew you could handle it all and you could go through the evolutionary process. It's okay. Even if we feel like we can't handle it sometimes, that's okay too. No one is perfect. And not only that, every single one of us has had this moment at one point or the other where we felt like we couldn't handle it, like everything wasn't going to work. It's in those moments that we learned faith. And so we learned faith in the higher self, because the higher self is, it's the make or break it is the higher self. There's been some times in my personal life where there was nothing I could do. I just had to let go and just allow the higher self to guide me through the situation. When we go through a process like that, it allows the higher self to ground into the physical body because you've released resistance. And so then the higher self starts to rework your timeline. It changes your magnetics because now the higher self is like, oh, they release resistance. So then the higher self is allowed to make a contact inside the physical body. That's how this works. So the more and more you can coax that higher self down more and more, because at first it'll be a tiny bit more than what you had. The higher self isn't going to blast you with the full-blown activation. It's just not going to happen. You have to coax it down. That's what the star people keep saying. They're saying it right now. So when we coax it down, we have to be more loving, caring, kind. You have to activate your energetic grids. And the way to do that is by going into the heart. Now, it only takes 1 minute a day to literally feel into your heart. And you can even feel into your pineal gland. And so, but when you feel into both of these and you think loving, caring, kind thoughts, even if it's towards people that you really don't care about, just imagine, pretend, and send them love and light. When you do that, you're not only healing that person. So that person has a potential out there to make a complete 360. They do not have to be evil their entire life. They can completely change their lives. We've seen this happen already in this world. The people get sent to jail and then they turn to religion. And then all of a sudden they're priests and they're all loving, caring, kind in prison. right? So we know people can make a complete transformation. Every single one of us can. You have to realize and remember it's the traumas and the tragedies that we experience that makes us shine less light. Less light is less love. And so when we see people who are doing bad things to this world, we can't see them as separate than ourselves. We just have to send them love and light and just realize that that love and light will get inside of them. It like breaks through the skin because we're all connected. And then all of a sudden, you're going to start to see mirror reflections. So you send them love and light and just let it go. Stop paying attention. And then you'll see in the future how that person will change. Many times, more than not, the person will always change to a positive. Now, this also goes hand in hand when we see all of the conspiracies on the planet. And so we could sit here, we can focus on them. I did it for a long time. My stomach used to get sick. I used to walk into the supermarket, try and tell everyone all this nonsense, right? Don't eat that. It's not healthy. All the stuff. But the second that you release resistance, the higher self steps in. The second that I let it go was the second I started seeing non-GMO foods, project non-GMO, everything was there for me so that I had exactly what I needed, exactly when I needed it. Even though it may have been there the entire time, but my mind didn't allow me to see it. The second that I became aware that there was an issue, boom, there it was. That's how the system works. So that's how the collective consciousness works. Because the truth of the matter is that we can have something here, but your mind, it won't allow you to see it. So this is what the star people have been saying for so many months now. They're like, there could be a UFO right outside. You have to be in alignment to allow yourself to see it. If you're not in alignment, then the person standing next to you, they will just believe it's a satellite, even if the thing is blinking at you. It doesn't matter. That's actually happened to me a couple times too. So, but that's okay too, because the people just weren't ready. Now, I remember there was once upon a time people were telling me, and I was drinking soda like crazy back then, but people were telling me, oh, the soda's not healthy. And I was like, we'll be fine. Right. And so you may even see people do that, but that's because their mind is not ready. They're not ready to handle that new information because their consciousness is in a brick. And that brick tells them that this is their life. These are their experiences. When they go through the complete emotion range of that level of consciousness, then they're allowed to level up into the next stepping stone. And so when we understand that that's the way it works, everybody has to go through their own experiences. It's just part of the simulation. We can't rush anyone. We can't force knowledge on anyone. We have to just stay true to ourselves. And so what that looks like is that looks like what I'm doing right now. I'm staying true to myself, putting my word out. If people don't want to hear it, it's okay too. Right? I'm not going to fire off an emotion because of that, because I try and keep my emotions in my control, even though we're not really in control. Because when something traumatic happens in front of us, your body is going to choose whether or not to cry, and that's okay too, right? Because if your body is telling you to cry, you have to cry it, because you don't want the emotions to get trapped inside. Now, if anyone has ever seen the people with the bags underneath their eyes, really deep ones, those are actually uncried tears. And so that means that they have emotions stored up from suppressing all of the emotions. Now, there was once a time during my ascension process, because we're all on the ascension process one way or the other. But there was once upon a time when people didn't want to see me cry. And so I learned to do this thing where I was like, and that was it. I would suck up all the tears and be strong, right? And so that's what we were taught in this world, because you can't show fear in the real world, right? That's what we were taught growing up in New York. It's so funny. But when you do that, it allows all those emotions now get bottled up. So over time, you may start to feel like choking in your throat. You may start to get all choked up anytime your body wants to release. Even the men have to release the emotions too, because when they get bottled up inside, it can cause anger, it can cause fear, it can cause injustice, turmoil. So, and all these different things can be located in different parts of the body. Now, many times we may notice trapped emotions in the back. Your chiropractor could notice muscle knots or muscle tension. Those are all trapped emotions. So what we want to do for things like that, we want to send it love and light. And we also want to go in, and if we can grab magnets and run a magnet over it 10 times, you should really take the magnet from your chin all the way up over the head and straight down the spine. And do that about 10 times in the morning, 10 times at night. What that's going to do is it's going to start to unblock the primary chakra system, which is going to allow you to release any emotions that are physically in the body in those areas. So remember, the energetic grids, they radiate out, but they connect into different parts of the body. So your little piece of grid over here, it may connect into your shoulder. So running the magnet over the chin and all the way down the primary chakras is great for the big stuff that's in the chakra. But if you have a trapped emotion in the shoulder, you have to place a magnet on the shoulder. So the body is a fractal. So we could take a look at the bottoms of the feet. We could take a look at the lines on the face, the lines on the hands, and we could start to see what condition health the body is in just by looking at the reflections. These are all reflections of your baseline frequency. So the bottoms of your feet, we take a look at the Chinese charts. Once again, use the tools we have until you figure out the rest. That's my motto. And so we take a look at what those guys knew, because the extraterrestrials came down a very long time ago and gave them those charts. They recorded it and saved it, thank God. So a lot of the information is there. Now, when we look at the bottoms of the feet, you can even see some companies are making insoles with magnets so that you put it in your shoe and it hits right on those spots on the bottom of the feet. So let's say, for an example, you had a sadness line and it's like a deep loss or a lost love line. It comes down the chin, it starts in the corner of the eye, and it goes straight down. That's lost love. It could also be a loss of a love like riding horses or playing the piano or art, any of that stuff. It could be something that you lost that was such a part of yourself. So when we see that, there's always something on the bottom of the feet too. So when we start to recognize the different areas, different chakras are connected to different organ systems, right? Your eyes connected to the pineal. This is your third eye. Your speech, all that stuff, your jaws connected into the throat. And then there's chakras in the chin and there's a chakra in the nose. These are like half steps. So half ones. So, and it's a blend from blue to purple. They're just different colors, slight different colors. So when we figure out where you could touch, like this one is to be quiet, right? We've all heard the story of Pinocchio. His nose got long when he was lying. And so, but you touch your nose and it silences you. How many people do this? Shh, right? You're touching the lips and the nose. It's a micro expression to silence you. And so sometimes people do this, right? So it all depends. But either way, there's different micro expressions that everybody does the same thing. So that's right off the get-go. Every single one of us, the micro expressions are very, very similar. And so when we start to learn the micro expressions, we start to unpack the wrinkles on the face. We could pull a lot of the traumas out from people when we see them, just by taking a look at their physical body and how they look. And so, because then it gives us an identifier. So now we know which chakra system to dive into. Oh, you're having issues in your eyes. You're wearing glasses. Right? This is what I was doing too. My eye doctor said that my prescription improved by one in each eye, by one whole degree, whatever, one whole thing in each eye. He was like, I've never seen that before. So the proper vitamins, because I was on vitamins at that time, and then also focusing on the crown chakra, the pineal gland, doing the energetic clearings on yourself, sending the body love and light. So we rub the hands, get it nice and warm, clap 3 times, and then I love and bless your body. Go over the entire body. There's different hand postures. The star people have me do this, fold the 2 bottom, and they have me put the 3 together, put the thumbs on the heart. And I would sit there and just be at peace. And this was back in 2019, I was doing that one. So I don't really know what it means. I just know that it helped me to heal my spine when I needed it. So, and that was amazing. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Let me take a sip. How's everyone doing today? Wonderful. Oh, okay. We have to hang up in like 4 minutes because I have to prepare for a session tonight. So this is a short channeling. Super, super sorry. Okay. Yeah, this week has been a little crazy because the kids and we just have a lot of stuff going on in our family. So I'm trying to sneak in a couple lives here and there this way because I know, it's weird. Spring break too. So yeah, it's wonderful. Okay, so let's see. Family lineages, past timelines, ancestral karma clearings. So your ancestral karma goes back 7 and it goes forward 7 degrees, which is basically like 7 generations, but sometimes it goes more. Now, Seeing yourself like a holographic simulation is the best way to describe this. We can describe this using genetics because we can see how the trauma affects the DNA of the individual family lineage, and then it passes down to the children's children's children. This is the way it works. Now, when we see that, that's from a physical perspective. From a spiritual perspective, see yourself as the primary frequency, and then the past lives and the future lives are all a reflection of the frequency that you are holding. Because let's say, for an example, instantaneous downloads are readily available right now. And so that means that we have access to any and all knowledge that we need without utilizing technology. And so, but you have to start to go inside to access these types of gifts. You have to really do the focus and the attention, and then it will manifest for you. A lot of times, this happens automatically as a bright idea. And so the bright idea looks like you having the idea that you need in the now moment. Now, it doesn't matter if your guides are giving it to you. Many times the guides will give you the bright idea so that you become so confident in your ability to instantaneously download. And then they kind of step back a little and they're like, okay, she's linked in and she's getting all the information. She's downloading it on the fly. So we don't need to give her the information anymore. That's how that works. So when we know that that's how it works, it's okay to ask your guides for information, and it's okay to allow and accept that the information is going to come to you in one form or another. So the truth of the matter is that even if your guides are giving you information, it still is you manifesting the information that you need because you're radiating a frequency that is allowing those guides to step forward and give you the information. So every single thing that you see is a reflection of your energetic. And so if you don't like the world that you're living in, that means changes in the physical form need to be made. Now, there are times because our frequency goes up and it goes down, it goes up and goes down. Now, the down, and then we always go a little bit higher. And then it kind of always goes in like an upwards motion. That's the way we normally go. That's not to say that somebody can't get to a really high frequency and can't pull a swan dive, because that's allowed too. It just doesn't happen that often. I know I've done it twice. It's okay. So, what that means is everything was going hunky dory, peachy keen, and then all of a sudden, all your stuff got messed up, and then you had to rebuild. That's okay too. A lot of times, sometimes that happens with the crazy weather and stuff. Like you'll have everything, and then a tornado come and whoosh, and you got to start from scratch. It happens, and that's okay, right? Because it's all an experience, and if it happens, it happened for a reason because there was something that you personally needed to learn from the experience. So it's okay. You can't judge yourself. You shouldn't compare yourself to any other person as well. And we shouldn't idolize people because idolizing people will set you at a cap where you can't go any higher than that person because it caps you off. When we judge ourselves, that judgment, it blows back at us tenfold because when we judge ourselves, it changes the way that we speak. And then other people see us the way that we see ourselves. So then they start treating us the way that we are mistreating ourselves. That's what the star people are saying. So when we know this, we want to always send love and light to the self. So we never want to judge ourselves. Even if you don't like the way you look, let's say you put on an extra weight, it doesn't matter. I love and bless your body until the weight is gone or it's shrink down. That's it. Right? We never want to turn and look at ourselves in the mirror in an ugly perspective. Now, when we do see ourselves doing that, be aware there's always attachments messing with the way that we see. So we take a look at anorexic people. The people who keep going through that cycle, they have attachments that make them look at their body and see themselves as fat. Is it true? No, it's a distortion. So it's kind of like putting the blinders on or the beer goggles, right? So a lot of times when we interact with different types of spirits while drinking, that happens to many of us automatically. You see things from a different angle. That's what the star people are saying. And that's because it's a distortion. So you have to realize the more and more we start to engage with a distortion or an attachment, they're calling it an attachment. So the more and more we allow that attachment to push our button and do what it wants us to do, because it's an experiential. And so the experience of having your vision distorted so you see things differently, that's an experiential attachment. And so that attachment is going to continue to press you. It's like pushing your red button. And so you can continue to have that experience. And then the second you're like, enough is enough, I'm not doing this anymore, you stop the pattern of behavior, which then either allows the attachment to move on. Sometimes they move on their own. Many times they latch on and they wait because they know that they could try and trigger you again. So we take a look at the alcoholics when they've gone 40 years, then all of a sudden they fall off the wagon and they're right back in the same exact cycle. That's because that attachment was waiting for an ideal moment. They probably try to push, right? But the person was like calling a sober friend or somebody, but then all one day they got them when they weren't looking. They hit the red button and then the cycle started again. So that's the attachment latched on for all those years. Death attachments work the same way, unfortunately. And so, if you've ever had a near death experience, there is a full range of death attachments that latch on. And the death attachments, they will just sit there and wait and they will suck your energy. They can potentially suck your energy out. And so, they would just wait. It's like waiting. So, a lot of time, I have a whole list of death attachments, not to be scared, but anyone who's ever had a near death experience should always go in and clear the near death attachments. It's kind of serious. So, yeah, excellent. Now, what else was there? Let's see. Okay, family lineage, and I guess that's it. Having faith in the now moment. Right, just stay happy as much as you can. If anyone ever feels a weight on their shoulders, that's an attachment name. So we always want to say, get off me, go home. But whenever you feel like right now, we're going through a lot of changes in the energetic grids of the planet. I could feel these things. I notice the reflections in my own life. And so I'm very consciously aware when it starts to come. Like last week was a big shift week for us. And so I started noticing things right off the bat. But now this week, I'm starting to see that last week generated a shift, and now this week we're going into healing modalities, which I knew was coming. So it's wild to see. And like not only that, but we're also getting signs and synchronicities. Broken glass means like transformation is coming. So you're going to be healing something. White peacocks. Somebody sent me a picture of a white peacock. It means like transformation. Like that white is very pure in color. And so everything is going to be okay. And broken chairs. Whenever you see a broken chair, it means transformation is coming. That's 3 different synchronicities for transformations. Now, I personally know whenever we go through these type of energetic shifts, then all of a sudden I'm also called to release my density and to raise my frequency. And so I may get called to eat more salad, do something else, right? Go out, be in nature. And so take a walk in the trails. I'm up a mountain, so we can walk through the mountain, right? Or we could walk around town. We walk to the post office box. We have a PO box. So yeah, it's absolutely amazing. But just being outside, being in the sun, doing our sun prayer. Well, I guess it's a sun prayer. That's what I was going to say, but it's a sun manifestation. So when you go inside and you feel the sun on your skin, even if it's a crummy, cloudy day, just feel the warmth and just be thankful. So thank you, Source Frequency, for this beautiful blue sky, sunshiny, warm day. That's what we do. And I do with my kids. And I have one girl and one boy. Whenever we're utilizing the power of 3, we have to have one opposite sex. So it has to either be 2 girls and a boy or 2 boys and a girl. That opposite in the frequency, it allows us to shift very rapidly into parallel realities in which it was already sunny out. However, it's like a transition. So our physical mind has to manifest the process in some way where it's okay for our consciousness to absorb it. So what it looks like is the clouds will part. All of a sudden they just disappear. But the truth of the matter is when we know and believe all of this information and we've seen it enough times, we could just close our eyes and will it into the hologram. That's how powerful we truly are. So when we know this, it's like, okay, this is the reason why our eyes close. Because when we close our eyes, it allows the changes to be made to the simulation and it allows us, this is basically like instantaneous teleportation as well. So we become aware. Yes, these things are very, very real. Yes, these things have a lot to do with our emotions, our magnetism, as well as our energetic projection. Where your energy goes, your manifestations go. So if we're wasting our energy on watching TV screens and all the stuff and negativity and guns and violence in the movies, then we're going to see more of that manifest because your biological form is firing off a fear-based emotional response, which activates your fight or flight system, whether you're aware of it or not. So the second that we become consciously aware, we start to stop the TV shows as much as possible. I still like to watch The Mandalorian. I love it, right? So I try and sneak them in. But I do fast forward through the there's a fly in here. It's probably the Starman. I do fast forward when the scary parts come. And so I did realize this when my kids wanted me to take them to the Avatar movie. No, we had to leave right before the violence started. Star people were like, it's time for you to go, right? You saw the beach and the ocean and get out of here. And so it was right before the wars and all that stuff because we don't need to see the violence anymore, right? We're trying to rise above all that stuff. So, but now I notice whenever I put anything on, it's fast forwarded, right? But you still got the subliminal messages in it anyway. So I haven't tried to watch. Yeah. Grounding. I did get an earth grounding sheet too. That's new. So, hi everyone. Welcome, welcome. Okay, excellent. So, what do we have? Let me see. We do also have the Ascension package. So, a lot of people have been asking me about this because when people come and they get reoccurring sessions, it's easier to just get the Ascension package. It's listed as from dark to light on daniellelipton.com under the products and the sessions. So that the cost of those sessions are actually over half price. And I even included in a attachment release session in there. So that one's really, really good for anyone who wants to level up very rapidly, anyone who has any spiritual questions you guys really want answered. So I believe in April, we are going to be doing the intermonthly Zoom again. So we all come together on a Zoom. You guys can ask any and all of your spiritual questions. Anytime you guys like, you can send in your questions. You can either send them into daniellipton.com or anyone on my Facebook. You guys can send in questions. Just realize that last week has been really it's been busy as a mom. And so even doing this full time is like, well, I got to focus on the kids for a second. We got to get them in order. So they're homeschooled. So we're here all day it's like a very busy day every day. So when I sit down to try and go through the messages, you just have to bear with me because I'm like far behind on that. So, but send your messages in because I normally write them all down and then I answer them on the live. It's just a little bit easier than going through the comments for me. It's just too much to read. So, but yes, thank you guys so incredibly much. And thank you for watching and many, many love and blessings. You have a